product of prayer. I'm a product of grace, mercy, forgiveness. I'm also a product of my imagination. See, I imagined something. I was 10 years old, 1968. I was in a school and we had came off summer vacation. A teacher came into class and said, I want everybody to write their name on a piece of paper and write on that paper what you want to be when you grow up. What you don't know about me is when I was growing up, I had a severe stuttering condition. Couldn't talk outside my house. For years I studied. What you don't know about me is I flunked out of school. I'm telling you. You also don't know about me that I've lost everything I ever owned twice. I have lost it all twice and had to start over. I done struggled through 2 marriages to finally get this one right over here. I'm just telling you about me. You may not know, I lived in a car for 3 years. I washed up behind bushes, man. Deep up. So when I wrote on a piece of paper, I want to be on TV, the teacher had everybody stand up in the class, and she read their name and what they wanted to be. She saved me for last. She called me to the front. I'm thinking, okay, this is it. I've been in school 6 years. I ain't never got a gold star. This is it. I'm finna get a gold star. This the moment I've been waiting on. 6 years, I ain't never had an A. I ain't never had a star. Nothing. I'm finna go up here and get this star. So I headed up to the front. I can't even tell you how wrong I was. That lady didn't call me up there to give me no gold star. She called me up there to humiliate me, to embarrass me. First of all, she knew I stuttered severely. Why would you call me to the front of the class and you know I can't talk? She brought me up there, boy, and she lit in on me. Why would you write something like this on a piece of paper? Who in this school ever been on TV? Who in this neighborhood ever been on TV? Who in your family done ever been on TV? And look at you standing there. You can't even talk. How they gonna put somebody like you on TV? So every Christmas, I send her a flat screen TV because I don't want her to miss me. I want her to see that little country boy out of Welch, West Virginia, the one that had a stuttering problem, the one that flunked out of school. Yeah, I was telling you, you got to learn how to fail and win anyhow. I wanted her to see that little boy that lived in a car for 3 years, the one who been through all them divorces, lost everything else. I wanted her to see me. I wasn't bragging to her, but I wanted her to see what God had done for me. In spite of everything she said about me, you ain't gonna ever be nothing. You ain't in my imagination. You can't tell me nothing. See, I did not know then what I know now, that imagination is everything. It's the preview to life's coming attraction. See, now here go the kicker, so you can tie it in if you one of them real churchy folk and you got to have everything put to a scripture. That imagination is the second half of that scripture. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Your imagination is the evidence of things not seen, because in your imagination, can't nobody see it but you. Now, if you in here and you think you too old to hear what I'm saying to you, my best example is Kentucky Fried Chicken. I don't know if you noticed the picture of the man on the bucket, but he old. He ain't 30 years old. Colonel old. Colonel had been telling people his whole life, I got the best chicken in the world. Ain't nobody believe him. Kentucky Fried Chicken sell more chicken than anybody in the world. So if you're sitting in here thinking you're too old, I'd rather be rich and hit it in my 60s than to die poor and never have hit it at all. Now, last thing, and I'm out your way. Imagination is everything. It's the preview. Let me ask you a question. When you go to the movie and you get there real early and you get your popcorn and you sit down, before the movie starts, what do they show? A preview of a coming attraction. Have you ever seen a preview and the movie ain't come out? Oh, the movie coming out. Whether you go or not, the movie coming out. Whether you like the trailer or not, that movie do 100 million at the box office. You might not like the actor. That actor get an Oscar for that movie. The moral of the story, the next time your Heavenly Father shows you a preview, go to the movie. You're probably starring in it. I bet you'll like it when you get down there.
It's going to happen quickly. We all have things that we're believing for. We've been patiently waiting, thanking God, praying, but we don't see anything improving. It's easy to get discouraged and accept that it's going to be this way a long time. We just have to endure it. But God said in Isaiah 60, I am the Lord. When the time comes, I will do it quickly. God has ordained certain moments in your life where He's going to do a quick work. It's going to happen much faster than you thought. You may not see anything changing. It doesn't look like you're any closer to what you were believing for than you were last year. But when you come into your time, God is going to do it quickly. It's not going to be a long, drawn-out process. You're going to see a rapid turnaround, a sudden breakthrough, a speedy recovery. It may look like it's going to take a long time for you to get well, to break the addiction, to meet the right person. Now get ready. It's going to happen sooner than it looks. It's going to be unusual, out of the ordinary. You're going to know it was the hand of God.
Your goals and your objectives, they pull you through. They pull you through all kinds of down days. They pull you through a difficult time. It'll pull you through some winter of your life. Some people get lost in the confusion of the day simply because their goal is not bright enough to pull them through. What 5 things have you already accomplished that you're proud of? Let's take some credit before we go to work on the future. We've accomplished some things in the past. Let's give ourselves credit for that. When you're working with kids, this is important. What 5 things have you already accomplished that you're proud of? So I want you to make a note of that question, and then I want you to do the exercise. Make a list of 5 things that you can think of that you've already accomplished that you're proud of. Sometimes even for kids, you have to do a little coaching. You know, sports or school or whatever. Did you win a blue ribbon? Did you come in first? So this is part of this format, to do a little coaching to help people, get through these exercises. Okay, 5 things you've already accomplished that you're proud of. Okay, now here's the next exercise, and this is going to take some time. Next question. What do you want in the next 10 years? I want you to make a list of at least 50 items. Now, this is not what you think you can get. This is what you want. If everything fell into place and you could have anything you wanted in the next 10 years, what would that list be? Not something you think you can earn, not something you think you can buy, not something you think you can finally be so successful you can get. This is what would really do it for you the next 10 years. I want you to make this list. And here's the deal now. I want you to put each item one under the other. Not side by side, but one under the other. And make as long a list as you possibly can in the time I'm going to give you. One underneath the other, because we're going to do some things with this list when you finish. Just start writing now as fast as you can. Abbreviate where you can. Make a longer list. If something's private, put it in code so nobody could figure it out. They got a hold of this list. One underneath the other. As fast as you can write. Just let your dreams run free here. Not what you think you can get, but what you want. If everything fell into place and you could have whatever you wanted the next 10 years, what would that be? Little things, major things, insignificant things, doesn't matter. Just make the list. Places you want to visit. What experiences would you like to have in the next 10 years? Parachute out of an airplane, star in a movie, play in a rock and roll band, win a gold medal in the Olympics, start a new family, some changes you'd like to make, some habits you'd like to drop, some new ones you'd like to acquire. You might make a list of the people you want to meet over the next 10 years. A cabin in the mountains, upstairs maid, a cook, a chauffeur. How about your investments, properties? What would really do it for you the next 10? What would do it for you? Become a wine connoisseur. I'm learning more and more how to make wine. It's an interesting process. A hobby you'd like to start. Collecting. New car. Become a race driver. Skills you want to help teach your children. I taught my girls how to swim, how to dive. Such great satisfaction when they used to say, "Watch me, Daddy. Watch me. Look how good I am. You taught me. Watch me." Make a contribution to society. Make a contribution to your community. I want you to look at an item and say, I think that would take about 1 year. Another item, you say, I think that would take about 3 years. Another item, I think that would take 5. And another item, looks like that's going to take 10. Give each item now a number of what you think it might take to achieve that goal. A 1, a 3, a 5, or a 10. Just somewhere close. Doesn't have to be exact. That's about a 1. That's about a 3-year goal. That's about a 5-year goal. That's about a 10-year goal. If it's less than 1 year, just make it a year. If it's more than 10, just make it 10. 10 plus.
I want to talk to you today about don't waste your pain. We all go through disappointments, setbacks, loss. Pain is a part of life. It's easy to get discouraged, even bitter. Think, why is this happening to me? But one of the best principles I've learned is don't put a question mark where God has put a period. All of us have things we don't understand. One reason is we can't see the big picture for our lives. If you have a puzzle, on the front of the box, there's the picture. You see what it's supposed to look like. Maybe it's a sunset overlooking the ocean. As a whole, it's fantastic, so beautiful. But if you were to take one piece and isolate it, you would think, look at this funny looking piece. It's a mistake. It's not going to fit anywhere. It's an odd shape. There's nothing beautiful about it. But the fact is, that piece has a perfect place. It's already been fitted, planned, designed. When the other pieces come together, it will fit in. The reason you can't see it now is because they all are not in place yet. In the same way, sometimes we look at pieces in our lives that don't make sense. Joel, I went through a divorce. I lost a loved one. I'm going through cancer. My business went down. This piece couldn't be a part of God's plan. But you have to trust that even in the painful times, the times you're hurting, you're lonely, you're taking the treatment, on the surface, that piece doesn't make sense. But God doesn't make any mistakes. He's already designed your life, laid out all the pieces down to the smallest details. And God never said that we would understand everything that happens along the way. He didn't promise that we'd never have any heartache, pain, disappointment, loss, setbacks, but He did promise that it would all work out for our good. And that piece that's painful, doesn't look like it makes any sense. When everything comes together, it will fit perfectly into place. The key is what we do in our times of pain. Pain will change us. Heartache, loss, disappointments, they don't leave us the same. When I lost my father, I didn't come out like I was before. I was changed. If you go through a divorce, a legal battle, a friend betrays you, eventually that will pass. You'll get through it, but you will be different. Now, how the pain changes you is up to you. You can come out bitter, or you can come out better. You can come out with a chip on your shoulder blaming God, or you can come out stronger with a greater confidence in God. You can come out defeated, giving up on your dreams, or you can come out with a new passion, a new fire, excited about the new opportunities in front of you. All of us experience pain. My challenge, don't just go through it, grow through it. That difficulty is an opportunity to get stronger, to develop character, to gain new confidence. Anybody can give up. Anybody can let it overwhelm you. But you know what that's doing? Wasting your pain. That pain is not there to stop you. It's there to prepare you, to increase you, to develop you. The scripture talks about how God is in control, not just of our lives, but He's in control of our enemies. Satan had to ask God for permission to test Job. The enemy may turn on the fire, but the good news is God has His hand on the thermostat. God controls how much heat, how much pain, how much adversity. He knows what we can handle. If it was going to harm us rather than help us, God would have turned back the intensity. In those tough times, when you're uncomfortable, going through a loss, dealing with an illness, you could easily let it overwhelm you. It's helpful to remind yourself, I may be in this fire, but I know who controls the temperature. The God who breathed life into me. The God who is for me and not against me. The God who crowned me with favor. The God who takes pleasure in prospering me. He's in complete control. He's not going to let it get too hot. He's not going to let it defeat me. I may not like it, but I'm not a whiner. I'm a warrior. I know I can handle this. You have that attitude, you'll come out stronger, increased, promoted, better than you were before. We've all heard the saying, no pain, no gain. If everything was always easy, we wouldn't be prepared for our destiny. Some of the things I face today, if I would have faced them 10 years ago, they would have overwhelmed me. I couldn't handle it back then. God knows what you need when you need it. Every struggle is making you stronger. Every difficulty is growing you up. Every painful time, even though you don't like it, it's developing something in you that can only be developed in the tough times. Don't complain about the pain. Without the pain, we couldn't reach the fullness of our destinies. Researchers did an experiment with bumblebees. They took them up into space to study the effects of weightlessness on them. The bees floated through the air with great ease, didn't have to use their wings. I'm sure they thought this is the way we were made to live. No struggle, no adversity, no resistance. For a few days, everything was great. But on the fourth day, something happened. They all died. They loved it being easy, no adversity. But the problem was they weren't created to not have any resistance. In the same way, we were not created to float through life on flowery beds of ease. We're going to the sweet by and by, but we are living in the nasty now and now. We love to not have any pain, loss, disappointments, heartaches, betrayal. That's not reality. Difficulties are a part of life. Have the right perspective. In those tough times, God is getting you prepared. If it was too much, He would have turned back the temperature. He's got His hand on the thermostat. Now quit telling yourself you can't take it. You're not weak. You are well able. You are armed with strength for this battle. You are full of can-do power. The reason the fire is so hot is because God has something amazing in your future. He's getting you prepared for the next level of your destiny. See, God doesn't just randomly say, let me give them some pain to make their life miserable. Let me hit her with a sickness. Let me hit him with some marriage problems. There is a purpose for the pain. We may not always understand it. Joel, why did I get sick? Why did I lose my loved one? Why did my marriage not make it? I can't answer that. But I can tell you, if God allowed it, He knows how to bring good out of it. This is what faith is all about. God, I don't like the pain, but I trust You. I believe You're in control. Now, I'm not going to just go through it. I'm going to grow through it. I'm going to keep a good attitude. I'm going to count it all joy, knowing that this pain is leading to my gain. Sometimes we bring pain on ourselves. We make poor choices and get in a relationship we know is not good, or maybe get over our head in our spending. And now it's painful. We're having to deal with the consequences. And God is full of mercy. He'll always give us the grace to get out of it. But the way to not waste your pain is you have to learn the lesson.
The basic question you are going to answer is, what do I want within the next 1 to 10 years? I want you to take about 12 to 15 minutes and make a list of at least 50 things you want within the next 1 to 10 years. These are long-range goals. To help you get started with your list, consider these questions. What do I want to do? What do I want to see? What do I want to be? What do I want to have? Where do I want to go? And what would I like to share? Now, with these thought starter questions in mind, answer the basic question. What do I want within the next 1 to 10 years? See how many things you can write down. At this point, don't take the time to describe in detail everything you want. This is the time for you to let your thoughts pour, to write fast and to abbreviate. For example, if you just write down 380, you'll know what that means. You don't have to describe the color and the interior of the car. You'll do that later in this exercise. I want you now just to abbreviate and write fast. Make the list as long as you possibly can. Try to write down at least 50 items, 50 things you want within the next 1 to 10 years. These are long-range goals. Spend about 12 to 15 minutes on this. After you've completed your list, you're ready for the next part of the exercise. Go through your list, and next to the things you think you can accomplish or acquire a year from now, write a number 1. Next to the things you think it will take 3 years to realize, write a 3. Next to the things it will take 5 years to accomplish, write a 5. And next to the things it will take 10 years to accomplish, write a 10. Go through this list now to the best of your ability and say, that looks like it will take me about a year, or 3 years, or 5 years, or 10 years. Some big goals might be out there,
10 years from now. Once you complete this part of the exercise, you might come to the conclusion that you need a lot more 3-year goals and less 1-year goals, for example, or that you need more 10-year goals. You see, while you're working on one goal, you must have something else in the planning stages. If you don't, what happened to some of the early Apollo astronauts could happen to you. After they came back from the moon, some of those astronauts experienced deep psychological and emotional problems. And the reason for that, why after you've been to the moon, now where do you go? That seemed to be the end, the finish. What later astronauts did was to make sure that they had major projects lined up after they returned from the moon trip. The way you enjoy life best is to wrap up one goal and start right on the next one. Don't linger too long at the table of success. The only way to enjoy another meal is to get hungry. Another thing to check for on your list is that you have included goals for each of these 3 important categories. First, make sure you've listed your economic goals, your goals for income, profit, and productivity. Second, make certain your list includes material items you want, tangibles, such as a home, a car, a boat, furniture, or jewelry. Don't attach the wrong importance to things, but they are important. Third, you'll want to include on your list goals for personal development. Write down all your personal development goals. Your goals to be more physically fit, to lose weight, to be more decisive, to be a more effective leader, to be a better communicator, to learn another language.
One of my good friends is Tom Brady, and I can tell you he's constantly talking about being in an emergency to get better. Rodney Harrison was telling me the story that when he was a rookie for the Patriots, he got to the gym every day, the workout facility first, every single day. And he walks in one day, there's this new rookie, skinny dude, probably going to get cut, backup kind of dude in Michigan, and he walks into the gym, and this guy's in there working out already. And he goes, "Who are you?" The guy goes, "Hi, I'm Tommy." And Rodney goes, "Yeah, I'm the guy who gets here early." Brady goes, "Oh yeah, I'm going to beat you every day." And Rodney Harrison goes, "Yeah, right." So by the way, the team meeting started at 10. This was 6 a.m. They do weights after the meeting. They were the only 2 guys who went to the gym before the meeting, but they were there at 6 a.m. The next day, Rodney gets there at 5:30. Walks in, guess who's already there? Skinny Brady. Harrison's like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Tom, I got to get here every day before you." Next day, 5 a.m., Rodney gets there. Guess who's already there? Brady. The next day, Rodney Harrison, you can tell you the story. Rodney Harrison gets there the next day at 4:30. As he walks in the door, Brady's walking out, throws his towel. He goes, "Have a good workout." I'm getting chills right now. And Rodney goes, "Who is this guy?" And Brady goes, "Listen to me, man. I got a lot of respect for you. Nobody on this team is going to outwork me. Nobody in this team is going to outwork me. You're talking about somebody who is, in my opinion, I'm biased, our lockers are right by each other at our club, not only the greatest quarterback of all time, not only the greatest football player of all time, arguably the greatest athlete of all time, who has almost no athletic ability. In fact, his sister was a better athlete. 8 AFC championship games in a row. Every other year he's played football, he's been in the damn Super Bowl. Are you kidding me? Really, dude? Really? Unbelievable. That's because he's outworked everybody. Because he's in a crisis to get better every day. It's not like he'd like to. You think Brady might run the mini days I talked about earlier? You think he does? Yes or no? He does. We talk about it all the time. So, here's what happened to me. Last thing I'm going to tell you. I have this hallucination. It's sort of my overall philosophy about my life, and I want to have it for you. I want to say something to you. Tonight, I promise you something. I'll pray for you. I just pray that you're happier. I pray that you win. I pray that the right deals come your way. I'm prayerful for you. I'm telling you, if you have the right business partner in your life, the greatest architect in the world, great things can happen for you. You deserve to win. You deserve to have great things happen in your life. There was a point in time in your life when you were little where you knew you were going to be somebody.
He's just going around getting lined up to be something, and in the back of his mind, he's thinking, there's something else I'm supposed to be doing. There's something else I'm supposed to be doing. There's something else I'm supposed to be doing. Discontentment leads to direction. And out of his discontentment, here comes direction down the road. And Elijah, who just got out the cave, and he's looking for Elisha, and he comes up to him, and he exposes him to something. He comes in there with his old restaurant stuff, and he exposes him to something, and his mantle passes over him, and all of a sudden Elijah cannot work in the secular arena anymore. Even if it means he has to take a cut in pay. Even if it means he has to burn the ox, he has to boil the ox and burn the plow, he has got to go with the man of God. Even if he doesn't become the heir apparent to what his parents wanted him to be, he is called to the man of God. Even if he doesn't have the prestige of controlling 12 yoke of oxen, he gives up all of that because he is exposed to destiny. That's what support ministry is made out of. People who are exposed to destiny. They're not people who working in the church because they couldn't work anywhere else. They should be people who could have been working in the secular, making even more money, doing something even more influential and more important. But as their love for Christ grows, they give their life to ministry. Even when the check isn't as big and the notoriety is not as much, they recognize that it was God that blessed them to go to school to learn what they learn or do what they do or know what they know, that they are technically endowed because God wanted to use them in the kingdom. And they are not following the zeros. They are following the purpose and the call of God. And they're willing to boil their ox and burn their plow to be in the center of their destiny. They are called to walk with God.
I'll tell you what triggered me on this is thinking about how can I add the most value here. And engagement is one of those, new flash words in the corporate culture we all hear about. Oh, full engagement, partial engagement. But it's really true. Engagement plays such a huge role. And some of the studies that are out right now are mind-boggling. Have you seen the recent studies that they've done? 142 countries asking workers around the world, how would you describe yourself? Fully engaged, partially engaged, disengaged, aggressively disengaged. And guess what they found out? Throw it up there. Around the world, in 142 countries, they found out that 13% of employees worldwide said they were actually engaged in their work. Now, for us in this room, you'd say that's absurd, there's something wrong with the survey. Well, you'd be right. In a room like this, it's full engagement, or at least a lot fuller engagement. America has the highest engagement of any country in the world, it's 29%, which sounds so much better when you're 13. So which would you rather have, a punch in the face or a kick in the stomach? But let's flip that around and say, what does that really mean? It means 71% of people are disengaged at work in the richest, most powerful, most influential country in the world. It's mind-boggling. There was only one study, you'd say, oh, it was a partial. You can see study after study coming up with similar numbers, slightly off, but pretty much the same ratio. Now, here's what's really interesting. Of those 71%, there's a group in there, about 24% of them, that are actively disengaged. You know what that means? That means they hate what they do and they hate you. Now, this is pretty important, isn't it? They hate what they do, they hate you, and they will actively work to disempower the organization. Who has ever bumped into one of these humans? Raise your hand, say I. Okay, so when you bump into these humans, it's not usually a pleasant experience, and we all know they're out there. And by the way, how much damage can they do in a world that's, social media everywhere where good news travels fast and bad news travels faster, and people don't care what the truth is afterwards. It's a cool story, it makes it go. So this is an area that if you're going to change your business, you got to make a difference. So here's what I'm looking at. What makes the difference in people? What makes a difference in an organization? And I would submit to you that it isn't getting a head start. You can find individuals who you give everything to. You can love on them, give them a great education, they get a great economic background, and can spend the rest of their life going in and out of rehab. Who's seen this before, knows what I'm talking about? Say I. On the other hand, you see people that life's kicked in the face, somebody's been abused mentally, emotionally, physically, you name it, and they become the Oprahs of the world. So it's certainly not, advantage does not come because you were given something. And by the way, in business, advantage doesn't come because you have most resources. Companies with most resources don't win. The most resourceful companies win. The most resourceful companies are the ones where employees are the most engaged. And it's statistically proven. You look around and you say, who had the lead? Well, before YouTube, there was Vimeo. They had a year jump. Pretty much the same technology, just didn't engage as many people. Before Google, there was, what happened, Yahoo? If you're out there, what the hell happened to you people? Right? Before Facebook, there was, what happened to MySpace? Facebook was more engaging. Engagement is really the new fact. Being able to be fully engaged. And by the way, in your intimate relationship, how important is engagement? Some guys go, very important, I want to put it off as long as I can. No, I don't mean that.
There are only two human emotions, love and fear. All other emotions stem either directly or indirectly from these two base emotions. But fear is an illusion created by this reality, because all that truly exists within the singularity is love. That's all there is, and love is all there can possibly be, because there is only one. There is only the singularity. So how can there be any other emotion at all? Indeed, how can there even be any concept of emotion? Within the singularity there exists only the singularity, and the singularity is love. There is nothing else, and this love is not perceived as emotion, it just is. There is only love. It's being aware of this singularity that allows true understanding to occur. And people ask, well, what can I do to help myself become more aware of this singularity? And the answer is to live in love yourself. And when I say live in love, again, I'm not talking about the television version of love. I'm not saying that we all put flowers in our hair and sit around singing a song. I'm talking about real love, true empathy, and real understanding for all. And so what is love, and how does one live in love and understanding of all others? Well, here's the trick, you see. You do it by being aware of the singularity of which we're all part of course. Now that may sound like I'm talking in circles and I just returned to the beginning, but I didn't. Because you see, real love lies in the true understanding that there is no other. There is only the singularity. When you can truly understand that, and when you can fully realize that when you look at another person, you are not seeing another person. You are seeing another image of yourself, another manifestation of the singularity. Then you can truly understand what actual love is. Because real love comes from the true understanding that we are each other. We share a single consciousness. The divisions that supposedly exist between us are an illusion. How can you not love another person? That person is you. So how can you not love them? How can you not love all other people when they are all you? And when you realize that all the divisions between us are an illusion. Once people realize the truth of this, well then the entire system of control we live under simply breaks down. And how do you do it, and where do you start? Well, you do it by realizing that we are all one. There is no other. You do it by doing what is right in everything, rather than doing what is right for yourself personally, or what is right for the company, or what is appropriate for the occasion, or even what the law requires. You just do what is right. All the time, in everything. Realize and truly understand that when you do the wrong thing, the person who must suffer the consequences is simply a mirror of yourself. So all you have done is hurt yourself, and you have divided just a little bit further both society and the one consciousness that we are all part of.
And the key to reaching its goal of this global fascist dystopia is to divide and rule the target population. And my goodness, how they have worked to do that. The cult, the global cult of secret societies and semi-secret groups has everyone, all sides, in its gun sights. Whether Trump supporters in the Midwest or the wokers of California, all cultures, all races, all sexualities, all political beliefs are all in the gun sights of this cult. And if we go on being divided, then they will succeed. But it doesn't have to be. The answer is staring us in the bloody face. How can a few control the many unless the many acquiesce to that imposition? It's impossible. It's unenforceable. So the answer has to be not finding a solution to what's going on, but removing the cause of the problem, which is human acquiescence to our own enslavement. As I've said many times, fascists do not impose fascism. There's not enough of them. Fascism is imposed by the population acquiescing to fascism. And if that stops, it's over. If it doesn't stop, this cult will reach its endgame of total human control via, not least, an AI connection to the human mind. So AI becomes the human mind. But there are many great things happening, and we need to build massively and very quickly upon that. For someone who's been investigating this for 30 years, I've never seen anything like what's happened in 2020. The numbers of people now who are starting to see the world is not like they thought it was, and certainly is not controlled by who they thought it was, has been growing massively.
So it is not, therefore it's not that easy often to say, where does this feeling that I have arise? Where does this feeling originate? Now, does it come from a deeper, the intuitive place? Intuition comes out of being present. Intuition does not come out of the conditioning of your mind. So, if you have an intuition, also, it is usually not tainted by negativity, such as anger or fear. So there is something certain about it, that there is a quiet strength behind your feeling, a quiet strength. There's not a nervous energy behind your feeling. There's more. You just know this is right. You may not be able to explain to yourself or others why. It has a different quality. There's a peaceful quality to it. Now, let's just imagine, to come back to the story that happened with this young woman. Of course, it could have been that theoretically I could have been a psycho and actually could not be trusted not to kill her. Theoretically, that's possible. So I don't know what the answer to this is, but I know from my own life, whenever there is a deep realization of what the right course of action is, it is always, there's a peace with it. And even if there's a psycho there, you know with absolute certainty that this is not right for you. There's an energetic imbalance which comes from a deeper place. But I cannot really explain in words. You have to, through life experience, you have to find out for yourself what a deeper feeling that comes out of presence and is a true intuition, how it is different from something that arises from the conditioning of your mind.